RDTDaily.com presents a Tarabuster with comedian Tara Devlin.
All right, everybody. This is Tara. Sorry for hanging out with me. I usually record the show every Saturday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern on Facebook Live and YouTube Live, and Tarabuster is rebroadcast on Progressive Voices starting on Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern, or at GDPR Revolution 99, which is another great, amazing progressive radio station that, if you don't know about it, you should check it out and bookmark it now. And so anyway, I usually record the show on Saturday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern, from 7 to 8. Except I'm doing it tonight because my brother's getting married tomorrow, and I'm going to the wedding. But I want to be consistent with all my recording. And it's also an opportunity to maybe reach some more people that don't necessarily watch the show or listen to the show, that may not be around on Saturday evenings. So anyway, and now what the hell just happened? Okay, everything is falling apart. That's okay, but it's not just me that's falling apart. It's not just my hopefully the restream is going. Yeah, all right. It's not just my computer that almost just fell. It's the world. Actually, are you as interested, or I can't even talk. Are you as tickled, I guess that's the right word, about Donald Trump's meltdown on Fox and Friends as I am? I can't get enough of it. But it is a case of Schadenfreude, right? How do you pronounce that? Schadenfreude, meaning it's a German word that means that you get pleasure out of watching somebody else suffer. Leave it to the Germans to come up with a word like that. It really has no English translation, so I'm stuck trying to say it. Schadenfreude. It really should, though. You think that we would have come up with a word like that already? The Americans, the people in this batshit crazy country. Because this country is really off the rails. Look at the so-called president. Now, for a long time, I've been saying that, and this is even before Donald Trump got elected, and a lot of progressives, the people who have been aware, engaged, we've said this for a long time, that this country really needs to hit bottom. And then what we need is a real fascist bastard in there to really screw things up, and then everybody will kind of wake up. And now it's happening. And it is happening. So I hope that we get value out of this situation. We have no choice, or otherwise it's done. And that's what really gets me, that all the people, and I mention this a lot because it really infuriates me when I think about all the people that died to create this country, to create this grand experiment in liberal democracy. And that's what it is. And we're not there yet. We've never been there. We have never fully actualized the promises of our founding documents. That's the truth. That is the case. And that's what we should be striving for. If we were mature adults, emotionally capable of functioning in a democracy, because that's what it takes. It takes a level of maturity to function in democracy. You have to be able to live with people who aren't exactly like you. And the thing with Donald Trump's meltdown, now Donald Trump is not the symptom. I mean, Donald Trump is not the disease. He is the symptom. This country is sick, and it's been sick for a while, and he is the manifestation of that. Now, what I was trying to get to, the point I was trying to get to was that, because I've been saying for a long time that people who have been aware, all the progressives that have said, you know what, we really need to hit bottom. Just like I had to hit bottom because I'm in recovery. I had to hit bottom. I hit bottom a few times, I have to tell you. So, but, you know, I had to hit bottom. And thankfully, a lot of people, your bottom is death. You don't make it, you know? So I'm like one of the lucky ones. But and I hope that we make it. I really do. But with Donald Trump, a lot of times I've been saying, you know what, let him be him. You know, they say, hey, let Trump be Trump. Let him expose exactly what the Republican Party truly is. That they are everything we've been saying for years. They're greed-centered ghouls of the Gilded Age. You know, they talk about, the good old days. They're not talking about when gays were in the closet and men were, straight white males could pinch their secretaries' asses without some Me Too movement rising up. That's not just the good old days that they're talking about. They're talking about the dark ages. That's the good old days to the Republican Party. Now, because you don't have to be Miss Cleo to figure out the end of the story. All you have to do is look at what the policies, what they're creating today. And don't be fooled, you know, because we've been saying this for a long time, that this country's in trouble. And you're not crazy. It's just as we were sounding the alarm over years, here we are. This is exactly what we were talking about. We were right. I hate being right. I would like to be proven wrong. You know, I always say it sucks to be right. I'm writing this book. It's called It Sucks to Be Right. And because it's really based on my father and I, because my father was a Reagan Democrat. And I used to have a lot of arguments with him. And now it's 30 years later and I'm looking back and guess what? I'm right. Everything I said at the time, when I was arguing with my father, who was a garbage man, a teamster, and we lived in a nice little middle-class home in a nice little middle-class community, thanks to the unions, thanks to the union movement that the Republican Party that my father supported was actively dismantling. So now we're here 30 years later, and guess what? It sucks to be right, because I wish I was wrong. I wish that funneling all the money and power to the top really did trickle down and create an economically vibrant democracy that worked for all, but it doesn't. What it does is it creates oligarchy, and it creates income disparity, and it creates a small handful of rich people that own and run everything, and a large pool of large pool of poor people to exploit, and how they keep you at each other's throats through tickling racist funny bones. If that's not the recipe for the Republican Party, what else is? Did I just lay it out? That is it. And that's what really pisses me off about regular Republicans anyway, is that they're so stupid that they fall for the oldest tricks in the book. There's nothing new about the Republican ideology. It's as old as recorded history. Make the rich richer, keep the poor poor, and divide and conquer. And they divide and conquer along racial lines. Along any lines that they any fissure of disunity they will exploit. So they do it because what do they care? They'll just go disappear behind the walls of their gated communities while people out here are at each other's throats, thinking that it's all about, oh well, somebody is getting an extra $60 in their welfare or food stamps or whatever. I don't really care. That's ridiculous. If somebody gets $60 they didn't deserve, quote unquote, in their food stamps, that's $60 that goes into the economy. In fact, every dollar of food stamps or on public assistance returns $1.60 into the economy, and that's keeps it going. What do when you give another tax break to a billionaire who would never have enough time in their lives to spend all this money in 1,000 lifetimes, what happens to that? It gets funneled into people like Paul Ryan's pockets, right? Where they buy politicians, or it sits in a bank account where some sick bastard, rather than hoarding newspapers, they're hoarding decimal points on their balance sheet. Like it matters. How much money do you need? How much until you feel like you want to live? Republicans, is it how much is enough? What is it enough? What's the sacrifice? Ignorance, perpetual ignorance, children without food, without roofs over their head, without health care, old people eating cat food. How much? What's the sacrifice? Because you're always talking about shared sacrifice, but the only sacrifice I see being made are on the people who have continuously sacrificed for time immemorial. Oh boy, I'm in a mood. I have a drinking problem too. Anyway, I can't drink. Literally, I don't drink. I drink coffee. That's my drug of choice now. So, all right, if people are listening on Progressive Voices, they don't know what I'm talking about. This is a video show too. So if you're listening on Progressive Voices, you come check it out on Saturday evenings usually. And we'll hang out and have fun and tell your friends, So, so what I was saying about Trump was that when I was watching this Meltdown, and I love it, I loved watching him go insane. And I wonder, actually, though, does he really believe what the hell he's saying? He really sounded like he really believes what he's saying, that he's so worked up. Now, I don't know if you guys, everybody's been playing these clips. I'm going to play a little clip. Let me see. He's such a whiner. This is what I wanted to talk about, was that, first of all, let me just get the first thought out that I had, was that maybe my first idea was not the best idea, meaning that maybe it really isn't good that we allow Trump to continue. Because I've been saying to my friends and people on the show and whatnot, saying that, well, be careful what we wish for, because you don't want Pence in there either, because Pence is a quiet fascist. He could look the part. He'll wear, it's like Johnny Bravo. He fits the suit, right? But he'll do just as much damage and maybe more because of his insidiousness. And, ironically, I'm wearing a t-shirt with the first Roman emperor on it, Augustus. And it reminds me of the situation in Rome, when Rome went to, from being a republic to a dictatorship, authoritarian dictatorship, because Caesar was assassinated because he did not, there's many reasons, but the short version of the story was that he acted like a king. Now, for hundreds of years, the Roman Republic was it was a lot older than this disaster that we have on our hands, and that was one of the disparaging remarks that you could say about a senator or people who wanted power in Rome, was that they were trying to be a king. They wanted to be king. And Caesar was taking power. He was also not showing the elite, because it really was run by, there was a group of families that basically ran Rome, and it was an oligarchy, but with the trappings of republic. They had a lot of similar problems that we have about corruption, and there were periods where there were times when that could have been avoided with there were a few revolutionaries, like the Tiberius Gracchus, I guess, I can't remember, the Gracchi brothers, they trying to reform Rome in a more egalitarian fashion for the good of the Republic. And, of course, he was assassinated. And because they, once again, stirred up this he wants to be a king notion. And the same thing with Julius Caesar. So he was assassinated, and when the first Roman emperor, Augustus, he was not called the first Roman emperor. He was called the first citizen, the first among equals. But as he consolidated power to himself, and despite their hundreds of years history of having a republic, that was the end of it. It was dead. But he had learned the lessons of Caesar, and he acted with more deference to the Senate, and he would never be too ostentatious. And that was all part of the gimmick, that so he would not get assassinated. And he lived a very long life and into his 70s. And by the time he died, there weren't people left that remembered the Republic. So passing on power to another oligarch was, that just was okay. Well, this is how it runs now. So I could see that happening here in the United States, where you have somebody like a Trump, or even just calling themselves president. And that's why, so it's like Trump is such a disaster. Yeah, you get Pence in there, and he will be a disaster too, except he'll be quiet about it. And by the time he's done, we won't recognize this place anymore. The Republic will be, he's exposing the Republican Party for what they truly are. They are greed-centered ghosts of the Gilded Age, and they're an anti-democratic ideology. Conservatism is fundamentally anti-democratic. They don't want democracy. Clearly, they don't like it, even as you see what's going on now, where the demographics of the country are changing, and they know that, and they're not favoring the Republican Party. So eventually, the Republican Party is going the way of the Whigs. That's just the way it's going to be. But they realize that. So instead of being real representatives of the people, what do? They gerrymander. They try to kick people off the voting rolls. They try to prevent people from voting and exercising the right that so many fought, bled, and died to entrust to us. But they don't care, because they're not the ones fighting and dying, right? Where's Donald Trump? Did Donald Trump ever wear the uniform of this country? No, they love the veterans, though, right? They love everything military. But that's part of being a corrupt fascist. That's the even in Rome, there was a series of emperors that ended up with insanity, where there was a period, a very short moment, where the Republic could have been restored after the assassination or the suicide of Nero. But what happened was the Praetorian Guards installed the next Roman emperor, because they were getting the benefits of having that rich benefactor. So they had a lot of power. So, and that's why it's really dangerous to have, military control of government. And so anyway, if we don't learn the lessons of history, we are doomed to repeat them, but we are repeating them. And this is what always gets me annoyed about when people talk about Godwin's law. What is Godwin's law? Godwin's law is, anybody who talks about Nazis automatically loses the argument. That always irritates me, because what is the point of studying history and learning history if you don't learn history's lessons? So, yeah, we should be very alarmed when you have such stark, stunning, and obvious parallels like Donald Trump to maybe not Hitler. Hitler didn't start with death camps. He started with corruption of the judiciary, corruption of the media, corruption of the moneyed elite, corruption of the church. He didn't start with all the heinous crimes against humanity, but here it went there. What do you think is happening here? Vilification of minority groups, the elevation of of the military, his attack on the free press, all the pillars of democracy. Anyway, so what I'm saying is that I have said that we should leave Trump in office, let him destroy it as much as you can, and unless we have to get it back in the midterms. We need to put a stopgap in there. But now I'm thinking, no, maybe that was a wrong way to think, because he is such a disaster. He is really not well. So what does that say about us, though? We have a mentally ill sociopath as a so-called president. So we might as well have a near like that. I guess we have to stop it before it's too late, because if it continues to go down this road where Republicans are, maybe they're turning the electoral system into a pantomime where only the few people, the right people, are going to be able to vote, where they disenfranchise people. This country needs a real serious reboot of our priorities. But anyway, so I back to Trump's meltdown on his on Fox and Friends, it was amazing. I can't stop laughing about it, even though it's alarming too. It's almost like Gallows Laughter, because what is happening? And when I'm trying to be optimistic right now. So when we get it back, when in 10 years we're looking back and say, "Oh my God, can you believe we missed that bullet? We dodged that bullet, that we narrowly escaped having a fascist or authoritarian oligarchy." I don't know what you're going to call it. Plutocracy. It's a bunch of things. It's ruled by the rich. And so hopefully we will look back and be like, wow, look at that. We survived the Trump Fox and Friends interview. I'm just going to play this last bit because it's amazing. Hold on a second. Where he was... Oh, wait. Everything is unfair. This is what I wanted to talk about. Hold on. Where the heck is it? I'm sorry, guys. Holy moly.
The people have to understand how dishonest the news is. And in all fairness to Fox, you guys don't always treat me great, but you treat me fairly. It's not like Fox is perfect for me. They're not. They're tough, but at least it's fair. When you look at some of the others, you look at like a CNN, they'll have a council of 7 people, and of the 7 people, every one of them is against me. I'm saying, where do they even find these people?
I'm not your doctor.
Called me last night, and I hated to do it. One of the reasons people say you're still looking good, Mr. President. How do you do it? Well, one of the things I've been able to do, which is something I never thought I had the ability. I would always watch now, frankly, I don't have time for 2 reasons. There's too much, and I don't have time. But I would watch, whether it's good or bad, I'd always watch. I have an ability. I don't watch NBC anymore. They're as bad as CNN. I don't. And by the way, I made them a fortune with The Apprentice. Think of that one. I made them, and I did
your alma
nicely
mater.
also. No, but I made them a fortune. You would think that these guys would treat me great. I made them a fortune, so they treat me horribly, and they treat me falsely. But just one thing. I don't watch things that I can put it out of my mind. And I never, ever thought that would be possible. And you know what that does? It keeps you on the ball. It keeps you, you keep your sanity.
You keep your sanity? That was towards the end of the interview, and I just wanted to also play the wrap up, because that's the best. And then I thought, what would happen if that happened? You know, there would be partying in the streets. You know that there would be celebration all over the world, and rightfully so. I'm not saying don't do anything rash, people out there, but when he finally steps off this mortal coil, there's going to be a lot of celebration, and you know that the right wing are going to whine about it. They're going to say, oh, lefties they're such hypocrites. They have no respect. Who's going to have respect for Trump? If you have respect for somebody who uses this country as a punching bag for his manias, that a sociopath, like somebody who is unfit to judge a wet t-shirt contest on the Jersey Shore, much less run a modern nation, then you got to get your priorities right. You don't have respect for you, because people who voted for a con man, guess what? If you don't recognize Trump as a con man, then you are the sucker. Trump is a con man. But let me finish with this wrap-up ramble, which is amazing. I love it.
We're running out of time, but when we came down after your first month in office, and we did that big, famous now interview in the East Room, Ainsley asked you a question to grade your first month in office. Now, fast forward, you've been in office over a year. Last year, you said in the first month, I give myself an A for effort and a C for messaging because you were having trouble, the White House was, explaining what you were doing. How would you grade yourself now?
Look, I'm fighting a battle against a horrible group of deep-seated people, drain the swamp, that are coming up with all sorts of phony charges against me, and they're not bringing up real charges against the other side. So we have a phony deal going on, and it's a cloud over my head, and I've been able to really escape that cloud, because the message now everyone knows it's a fix, okay? It's a witch hunt, and they know that, and I've been able to message it. I would give myself an A+. Nobody has done what I've been able to do, and I did it despite the fact that I have a phony cloud over my head that doesn't exist. It was what the Democrats used to try and make an excuse for their loss of an election, for their loss of the Electoral College that they should never lose, because the Electoral College is set up perfectly for the Democrats, and this was an absolute total beating in the Electoral College. They should never lose the Electoral College, and they did, and they got swamped.
But does it make you want to talk to Mueller and put an end to it? Does it make you want to talk to him? Because that's what Rudy Giuliani was.
The problem is that it's such, if you take a look, they're so conflicted. The people that are doing the investigation, you have 13 people that are Democrats. You have Hillary Clinton people. You have people that worked on Hillary Clinton's foundation. They're all, I don't mean Democrats. I mean like the real deal. And then you look at the phony Lisa Page and Strzok and the memos back and forth in the FBI. And by the way, you take a poll at the FBI. I love the FBI. The FBI loves me. But the top people in the FBI, headed by Comey, were crooked. You look at McCabe, where he takes $700,000 from somebody supporting Hillary Clinton. He takes $700,000 for his wife's campaign. And by the way, didn't even spend that money. He kept some of it, because under that law, she took He took $700,000 from a group headed by Terry McAuliffe, who was under investigation by McCabe and the FBI, and that investigation disappeared. He took $700,000. And you look at the corruption at the top of the FBI, it's a disgrace. And our Justice Department, which I try and stay away from, but at some point I won't. Our Justice Department should be looking at that kind of stuff, not the nonsense of collusion with Russia. There is no collusion with me and Russia, and everyone knows it.
Everyone, we could talk to you all day, but it looks like you have a million things to do.
Yeah, you have a million things to do.
But I hope you can join us again, Mr. President.
Thank you so much for being with us.
Good luck with your book. It's going to be a winner.
Thank you so much.
And happy birthday to Melania.
Thank you very much.
Happy birthday, Melania. You have 1,000 things to do? No, you don't. He has nothing to do. He says that he watches CNN and they have a panel of 7 people, but, he doesn't watch it. In the same sentence, he says that he watches it and they have 7 people, but no, he doesn't watch it. This is a very sick man. Okay, we know that. Then I say, why is he the president? The so-called president. And everything that he says is a lie. But the way that he is so vehemently adamant, vociferously, vomiting these lies that clearly he believes it. He should be on a right-wing YouTube channel. That's it. And he would do great on there because they're whiners, they're victims, they're liars, they're sociopaths, they're greed-centered, just victims. When did the Republican Party become such whiny little victims? And it's every day is opposite day in the right wing. First of all, let's just say every time Trump says that the Electoral College favors Democrats, of course he's lying. Somebody must have said that to him somewhere. He must have heard that on Fox News. Somebody made some unsubstantiated assertion, whatever, and he latched onto it because he's a very sick man, and he's justifying himself. He's like a drunk trying to justify spending his child's college money, just coming up with excuses. There has never been a bigger con man in this fair. This is a guy that was born on third base, thinking he hit a triple. He had everything handed to him from the day he came into this freaking mortal coil, and whines everything. He fell ass backwards into the presidency, and now he's whining how everything is unfair. And you're goddamn right it's unfair, but not in the way he's talking about it. It's unfair because it's rigged in his favor. And when it's not rigged in his favor, he complains about it. The fact is, these Republicans cannot stand this country. They hate this country because the country is standing up to this sick con man bastard who should not have been won the Electoral College. First of all, Hillary Clinton received 3 million more votes. That is the largest popular vote victory that of somebody who never actually assumed the presidency. So he's talking about unfair. That's unfair. It's unfair when you have 1 million more votes for Democrats, yet the Republican Party is still in control of the House. That's unfair. You whiny little, cheating little, greedy bitches, Republicans. You really need to look in the mirror, and you better worry about that you're dismantling Obamacare, your idea, the Obamacare that was hatched in the bowels of the Heritage Foundation to give the freaking for-profit insurance ghouls the catbird seat, of millions of more, freaking whatever people on their rolls, that your mania is on society. Because society is going to continuously evolve. That's the nature of humanity. We are, when you're born, you wear diapers. These Republicans, if you are never change, you'd still be walking around in your goddamn pull-ups. That's the nature of life. That's the nature of the earth. There is a cycle of life. You evolve, you change, things grow, things get different. We think about things. We try better ways of doing things. And this ain't working. And it's not because some black person has welfare or takes a knee at a football game. Because you can't handle the truth that you're so easily manipulated by racism that you would rather slit your own throat than than really face the fact of your own racism. So you're an easy target for a con man because they come in and they'll tickle your racist funny bones. And in fact, now it just brings me, what's that? I just came into my mind. I didn't even prepare this, so give me a second. The Republicans, apparently, you know, this whole narrative, let me see, Republican economic insecurity, right? We've had this whole narrative that the Trump voter is economically insecure. That's why they voted for Trump. Where the heck is it? So, but that's not true. In fact, it is what we have been saying all along, that the Republicans, it's not, they don't care. They're racist. You are a racist. If you voted for Trump, I don't care. You're economically insecure. You're not, in fact. We know that. Because all you have to do is talk to them for 5 minutes and you figure it out. They're racist. They think that Trump is telling it like it is. When he's saying it's they're bringing drugs, the Mexicans, they're rapists, but I assume some of them are good people. What kind of a leader is that? We live in a diverse world, and the world will continue to evolve. And if somebody is really, saying these things to you and you're believing it, they're hurting you. They are harming you. They don't have your best interests at heart, because we're all human beings here trying to live this life. We're sharing this moment in time together, and we're sharing this country together, and we better goddamn make it work for all of us, or it's going away. This country is going to go the way of all the other republics that came before it. It's going to die. And we're really on life support here. That's how I feel. I mean, and I'm not alone. I know that. So apparently to these Republicans, fear of losing status, not economic hardship, drove voters in 2016. Of course it did. And their hatred of Hillary Clinton. I mean, there were so many other things. I was for Bernie, and I believe Bernie would have won. Whatever. I voted for Hillary because I would much rather be pushing Hillary, because it never stops. You wake up and you're like, what now? I don't know. When I get my mandatory 5 hours of sleep a night, because that's pretty much what I get. That's why I'm tired. I am tired. We're all tired. Can you imagine what it's going to be? Just think about it. Just let's visualize when this is over, when Trump's out of office. We're going to have a party, man. We are going to be happy. So, and it's not just Trump. Like I said, we have to put the last nail in the coffin on the Republican Party, and for who they are. We've been telling you this all along. You know, the Democratic Party isn't perfect, but they're not trying to starve you in the streets. They're not trying to make you not have a retirement. They're not kicking down on the least members of this society. And there is a problem. Now, we have a problem. We have to get through this racism bullshit. So you stop being an easy mark for these con men. So Donald Trump has a sickness. He is a greedy bastard. And that's why he's the easy mark of any oligarch like Putin that wants to play him like a fiddle. Conversely, or similarly, if you're a freaking racist, that con man can kick down on you, tickle your racist funny bone. You think that somebody like a Trump, who has never spent a day in his life worried about anybody but himself, that he's really fighting for the forgotten man and woman? That's who he's fighting for. If you benefit in any way from any action of Trump's, that is purely coincidental. And because he doesn't give a shit about you. He cares about him. That's are you that stupid that you think, look at somebody, you know, you're supposed to be, the other thing about these right-wingers, they're so Christian, right? Know them by their fruit. Isn't that what the Bible said? Isn't that what your Jesus said? Know them by their fruits. What has Donald Trump done for this world? This person, what has his children done for the world? What are the people involved around him done for this world? You know, the Bible didn't say, but my mother used to say it. Know somebody. You want to know someone? Look at their friends. Look at who they spend their time with. Look at who surrounds them. Look who Donald Trump surrounds himself with. Con men, crooks, hookers. I mean, you're nothing but you're either somebody that's going to serve him or he's going to get something from you. He doesn't give a shit about people, not even the people that worked for him. He doesn't care. He bought a building here in New York. I mean, not many. He's bought other buildings, whatever. There's so many stories. He immediately started harassing the tenants. These are people on fixed incomes, people who had rent-controlled apartments. He started a campaign of harassment against them. Do you think this is somebody that gives a shit whether you have a job or not? It's all about him. If you get a job, that's fine. That job, yeah, it's like that carrier plant. You know, he went, oh, you're all going to keep your jobs. A month later, they went overseas. He does not care. It's all about him. And that's partly because the system is sick. We know that. The system is sick. And it is sick with money. Just like Donald Trump is sick with money. He's sick with greed. This country is sick with greed. And we better get our priorities straight and start thinking about each other. I'm really tired of these Trumpanzees and their economic insecurity. Well, stop being a sucker then. Stop kicking down on the least among us. Stop being a dupe of a con man. Stop voting Republican, like my father. I would get so pissed when that stupid envelope would come to the house because my father would donate to these monsters, this Republican monster show. He would give, I don't know why he would give them money, because he's sitting there in a union in the Teamsters with health care, with a decent retirement, with a roof over his head because of all of the hard-won battles that unions fought that Republicans dismantled. I don't know. It would piss me off. It still pisses me off because I would say to my father, don't you care about me? I mean, I know my father loved me, but he didn't see it. He didn't see the connection because, I hate to say it, he was racist. He believed Rush Limbaugh when he would take those rides in the car up to Atlantic City. He'd listen to Rush Limbaugh and Rush Limbaugh's siren song leading him to this sick-ass arms of this sick-ass Republican sycophant party, telling him that it was, all America's, and it's all to keep the working class fighting amongst itself. And that's what they've been doing from the beginning. Labor laws that protect you, that Republicans are dismantling, of course, right? They love this gig economy because every man for himself. Nobody cares, right? Like, God help you if something happens to you and you can't drive your Uber car, you're going to be SOL, buddy, because they're coming for the safety net. So, I mean, we need a real awakening again in this country that we better know who we're really fighting against. It's not somebody who gets an extra food stamp, as Republicans would like you to believe. So now they're saying that this, what's his face, the guy, the HUD guy, the guy who stands, the one with the hair and Ben Carson, who he's what they want to do. They're coming after the least among us, right? Because they're such Christians. They love Jesus so much. And what Jesus said, you better kick a person when they're down, because how else will they get up? Isn't that what Jesus said? Oh, no, that's the Republican Jesus. I don't know. Republican Jesus, I don't think would recognize Jesus. Republican Jesus would crucify Jesus. The real Jesus. The Jesus that said, that a rich person could get through the eye of a needle. Well, what the hell was it? I don't know. A camel. It was easier for a camel to get through the eye of a needle than a rich person to get into heaven. Meaning it's impossible. Because if you die with your ill-gotten gains, then you're a scumbag. That's my translation from the original Christian or whatever. What's the what language did they speak? The original, that doesn't matter. Aramaic? Is that it? Anyway, so that's me. That's what Jesus meant. If you die with all your billions, you're a POS. You're scum. Because it's like, according to Republicans, if you're poor, it's not the system that's broken, it's you. And so apparently, according to Republicans, what you need more beating, you need more degradation and depredation, and then you need to be kicked around. Because they need you nice and weak and malleable and unable to fight back, so you won't complain, and you'll be too busy trying to eat and keep a roof over your head than worry about what they're doing, like funnel more money to their pals. You know what I mean? And they don't fucking pull a hair for you out of their head than care whether an old person is cutting a pill in half or deciding whether they eat today or take their medication. Now that's a disgrace to America. I consider myself a patriot, really. But you don't call yourself a patriot and turn your back on the people in it, on the people that you share this country with. That's what patriotism means. They always say, "Oh, we move heaven and earth." When we were attacked on 9/11, "Oh, we'll move heaven and earth." What about the attack that happens every day? The attack on decency and dignity and the people's ability to live a decent life. That's a reflection of who we are, isn't that? Shouldn't we be more concerned about how many people live in poverty in this country than how many billionaires we have? Because we have one thing here. We make a lot of billionaires, but not enough. It's not. In fact, it is dangerous to democracy. And the truth is, we've always had rich people, of course. And just because you're rich doesn't mean you're a scumbag. But as FDR proves, but when FDR inherited his fortune, you know how much it was? It was $25 million in today's dollars. And he was rich. So how much do you need? You need billions? Because it's all a sickness. At a certain point, you're just a sick bastard. Oh my God. There's so many other things I want to say, and we're running out of time. So, but I wanted, because I was just saying to myself, what am I going to talk about today? I'm like, look, because so many things go on. I had to talk about Trump and his meltdown, which was amazing. And I hope it continues, really. And it's continuing. That's what we heard that's him on the phone every night with his friends. That. He is this. We have really stepped into Donald Trump's manias, and that's what's so scary. It's sort of like Scientology. They say that L. Ron Hubbard created Scientology. Obviously, because he was a scam artist. He wanted to he had such a war against the IRS. He hated paying taxes, and so he created a religion, and he wanted to avoid taxes or whatever. But Scientology has been described as a trip into L. Ron Hubbard's manias. And I feel like that's what the United States is right now. It's like we're in Donald Trump's manias. We're trapped in these manias. And any time that there's any pushback, the resistance that we get from Donald Trump is he is so dangerous, because that there's so many people that will believe him just by the mere fact that he's sitting in the Oval Office. Now, please don't tell me that when he leaves the presidency, that we have to continue to pretend that this is like a legitimate presidency. So now he'll have a portrait in the portrait gallery forever and ever. He'll have all a library, the trappings of the office. I hope not, because that's a sickness. We're gonna pretend that this was a qualified human being, that this person deserved to be where he was. This idiot who had everything handed to him in his life, who cheated to win everything, who bankrupted numerous businesses, who ran his own fortune into the ground numerous times, who is the worst human being, a sociopath. And we're gonna honor this person? I don't care how, that's an insult to all the millions who voted for him. Well, the millions who voted for him need help. You need to really look at yourselves. And that just goes to show us that this country we got a lot of work to do. You think I'm tired now? Wait till this is done. Wait till when the storm is past, and we better rebuild it better than ever. We better rebuild it withstanding the next storm that's going to come, because it's coming. It's like the people who live on Staten Island. They have to rebuild their houses after Hurricane Sandy. You got to build them up like 15 feet. So that's the way we're going to have to fortify our democracy from attack, from these termites, as David K. Johnston calls them. And it's true. That's what Donald Trump has done. He's released these termites into our system, and they're gnawing away at all the pillars of democracy. But anyway, so one of the things I wanted to talk about was how whiny Republicans are, and I guess I did in a way, because I had this other thing with Milo, because he was Milo Yiannopoulos or whatever, because he was kicked out of a bar here in New York, and I'm happy. That's the way fascists should be treated, and they're whining about it. So I don't know if I have time to really play it, because I'll just play it for a second. There is this was because his friend went on Tucker Carlson to whine about it.
Because the optics of this are so terrible, and they know how awful they look, that I see on Twitter that they're trying to say that we had planned this. I see certified salon reporters with their blue check marks saying that Milo had brought his husband out, who everyone knows that Milo's married to a black guy. I don't know if they think I'm a Sean King or what, but so they keep trying to say we did this on purpose. No, we really wanted to have a peaceful life.
Here's one of the revolutionaries. This is Brendan O'Connor. He works at Gizmodo. This is the kid we wanted to have on tonight. I don't know if there he is right there. And he's obviously acting on behalf of the global proletariat. This is the kid who says he was a journalist, but who was there sort of on behalf of the socialists. We checked, needless to say, from one of the richest suburbs of New Jersey, went to some $50,000 a year boarding school, apparently. Was he one of the people screaming at you?
Yeah, he marched outside and tried to doorstep Milo. He shoved a recorder in in his face and started asking questions about, 8-month-old news stories that involved him and other things that have been debunked. And Milo was just very polite and had said, "I'm here with my friend. If you want to interview me, please send an email to me and we'll set something up." He would not drop it. He didn't know what he was talking about. He was clearly nervous and fumbling and had no idea what to ask Milo. Finally, Milo just said, "Leave me alone. I'm here with my friend. Get your facts straight. I will gladly give you a proper interview." And then we have, of course, this Nation editor who admitted on Twitter she runs the Nation's Twitter handle. She...
Another worker.
It's important to know, I don't have to tell you this, but they were all white, obviously. I don't have to tell you this.
Shields.
All 20 of them. Yes. So she is being...
All right. The thing I wanted to play about that, the reason I wanted to play that clip was because I don't understand what the hell they're talking about. Another worker, that he came from a rich suburb. So that means that if you're, I don't understand. So they're not supposed to be working because they're democratic socialists. No, actually, what democratic socialism is that we believe in a regulated capitalism that in a democracy that works for all, a civilization that works for all, not just the ones at the top. So, but I don't get the whole another worker thing and why they're attacking this person for living in a rich suburb, because I guess according to them, if you come from a rich suburb, you shouldn't give a shit about anybody else but yourself. So if you come from a rich suburb, like FDR came from the top of the American elite and did more for the working class of this country than any other president since the founding. So they're just another example of the Republican Party, the right wingers that are search for the superior moral justification for selfishness. And I guess you're not supposed to care about anybody. Because that's somehow morally pure, I suppose. Anyway. It's all right. We have to wrap up. It's only a minute. I only have a minute left. So the show's going to be 2 hours soon. I'm going to have some guests, blah, blah, blah. There'll be a phone number. You'll be able to call. And I will hang up on you if you're a right winger. I don't have time for abuse, but that's not happening yet. Anyway, my brother's getting married tomorrow. Congratulations, Sean. And Susan, of course, and the wife. And that's it. All I'm going to say is come back every Saturday evening. Please tell your friends. Donate to RDT Daily. Support progressive independent media. And you know what I say? We stick together. We win. I'll see you later. What the heck is the damn overlay?